Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe. I'm a Forbes contributor covering social entrepreneurship and impact investing. And today we're going to talk a little bit about CES. I referred to it in the article as Nerd Heaven. And today we have with us a special guest. His name is Jeff Chase. I have a good friend named Marie Chase. Jeff, I apologize. It was throwing me for a loop there in my brain. Jeff Chase is the Vice President of Sustainability for Freeman. Freeman is the company that helps to put on the CES event. So, Jeff, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Thanks, Devin, for having me. I'm very excited and just coming back off CES, so very ready to kind of relax and sit down for a few minutes.
I bet. Now, Jeff, let's start by looking at the scope and scale of CES. This is an enormous event. Tell us about it.
Well, so Freeman, the company that I work with, is the general services contractor, which pretty much handles all the logistics for the event. The event covers over 2 million square feet all over Vegas. So it's divided into 3 areas within Las Vegas itself. It can't be contained in one building. So we literally have the Las Vegas Convention Center area over there, and then we also have the Sands Convention Center, and then we're out at the Aria and the Mandalay Bay. So literally we cover the whole city of Las Vegas. It is the largest event that Las Vegas does each year. And so logistically, you can imagine the nightmare of all of the, where does this crate go? How do the signs go? Where do we need to put pipe and drape? All the things that happen at this event and which facility it needs to go to. So quite an extensive logistics program that we're involved with.
Well, it's huge. And give us some sense of the scale. You have been working on the waste management process to increase recycling and reuse of those materials. But give us a sense of the scale, if you can, of the volume of stuff that needs to be handled after the event is done.
Right. So what's going on here is that literally when Freeman took over 3 years ago to help manage and take on the show with the CEAs or CTAs contract, it pretty much became real evident to us that this show requires a lot of dumpsters and open tops because there's the exhibitors from all over the country, all over the world. Basically, they have almost 45,000 attendees from international, and of the 30, I think there's over 3,500 exhibiting companies there, and many of those are international. A lot of them ship a lot of things in, but they don't ship them home. They bring them in, they set up these beautiful, elaborate booths, and then at the end of the show, it's cheaper for them to donate it or to put it in the recycle bin than it is to actually ship it back to China or across the ocean. And so a lot of those companies that are there are building things that are being beautiful during the show, but then after the show, try to find a way to divert it and keep it out of the landfill, but still some stuff goes to the landfill. We did almost 2 million pounds of waste coming off of just the Sands and the Las Vegas Convention Center last year, but we were able to divert almost 65% of that away from the landfill and actually into different ways of recycling and donations and things. So it's a huge amount of waste from the show.
So how much of it were you able to divert from the landfill this year to reuse and recycling?
Well, it's a slow going process in that we grew our goal by 5%. We were hitting 65 last year. We pushed to hit 70% this year. We won't know the real number for about another 2 or 3 weeks because everything's still the paperwork's still being settled. But pretty much we're hoping for 70%. And I know that what we did this year for the last 2 years now, we started it last year and then continued it this year under the direction of Lori Lutz and the whole team that puts on CES. They actually pull together everybody in the city that touches the trash from the show. We brought in the waste haulers, the recyclers, the convention centers, the food and beverage people, everybody that contributes to managing the event, and had a big kind of like a summit, so to speak, a little bit of a 4-hour summit about what we can do, about how we can handle the trash better, how we can recycle it, repurpose it, rethink how we do things, and then try to keep as much away and out of the landfill. So it's an exciting thing to get the whole city and everybody behind this program.
It really does take a collective effort. Tell us a little bit about some of the specific examples of the strategies used to divert some of this waste.
Well, so one of the things, for an example, is that we have to cover the ballroom carpets that are there normally with plastic kind of film, visqueen we call it, that goes down on the flooring to protect it while the forklifts are driving over it and everybody's bringing in stuff. So there's probably, imagine, almost about 1 million or 1.5 million square feet of this plastic that we put out, drop cloth, so to speak. And when the show gets ready to start, we pull all that up. And we used to throw it all away. And then the last couple of years, we've been able to go to a farmer's co-op in the Nevada area. And they actually take this visqueen now and repurpose it and use it out in the fields at their farms. So the Sands Convention Center and Las Vegas Convention Center has worked together to get this stuff gathered up and hand it to them. And then we found a purpose for it instead of just throwing it in the landfill. So that's like
tremendous. Any other examples? I don't want to cut you off, but because I imagine there's some great stories.
Yeah, and then also, if you go by the beautiful Las Vegas Convention Center, it's a metal building on the outside, a beautiful building. So we use magnets on the outside. All those big signs that you see on the outside of the building are literally rolls of magnets, and they're put together and printed on and made to be this huge, big 50 by 100 foot banner for Samsung or Sony or LG or somebody. And at the end of the show, again, the magnets used to go away and go into the trash. And we've now worked with the manufacturer of the magnet that they take them all back now and regrind them up, remake them back into magnets again. So it's a complete total, I think there's almost like 6 tons of magnets that we actually take and repurpose and put back into the manufacturing process.
That's
so
great.
Stories like that. Isn't that exciting?
That is great. Now, you also had some nonprofit partners who, I guess, took some of the material for their own use, so that they were essentially taking this waste as a donation and repurposing it themselves. Tell us a little bit about that.
So one of the ways that we're looking to try and reach that 70% of diversion from all of the waste coming out of the show, one of them is by donating and giving it back to repurpose it in the community. And so what we've done is set up a program where we let all of the exhibitors know in advance before the show that we're setting up a program for donation, and if they want to give to the charities, and we identify them, there's there's Opportunity Village, which is the local nonprofit in Las Vegas, Habitat for Humanity, which is a national group, Teachers Exchange, which is a national group. Green Our Planet is a program that actually helps the local school system for children to have outdoor classes where they build raised flower beds and grow plants in their school. And then we also had Goodwill. So several groups that were participating. And what we do is we go around and talk with all the exhibitors during the setup time and ask them what they're going to have left over from the show. And several trailer loads, tractor trailer loads of materials are donated at the end of the show. And we divert, like all of the building materials would go out naturally to Habitat for Humanity. A lot of the furniture that they bring in for the one-time use furniture is given to like Opportunity Village or Goodwill, and then a lot of the carpets and flooring are given to the different groups. And then we have materials that were given to that we were wanting to give to the Green Our Planet to help the school kids to have a better experience outdoor. So we found a way to actually help divert some of that stuff and give back to the local community. And then
that's really tremendous. How did that come about? How did that partnership arise?
Well, it's really driven by, I mean, Freeman as a company in our DNA, we're a very green focused company, but we really listen to our clients. And CES had basically come to us and said, we know we're the biggest show in the United States, but we also want to understand that we're making a lot of trash and waste. We want to learn how from you guys to partner together and become one of the greenest shows in America. And this was from Gary Shapiro, they're the boss of CES and the CTA group. And he basically put down and kind of threw the gauntlet down and said, we really want to try and do better as an organization, and working with Freeman and our other vendors in the city of Las Vegas, let's find a better way to divert as much as we can. So Gary has kind of sent us on the path and given us the permission, so to speak, to start the process about 3 years ago. And then over the last 3 years, we've really made some great progress. For example, one of the newest things that happened this year, Devin, that we started first time was it was a sponsored e-waste program for the local community, where Samsung actually sponsored to have an e-waste hauler there at the out of the show. And it wasn't for the exhibitors, it was actually for the whole city of Las Vegas, for anyone who had an old computer or a cell phone or a monitor sitting at home, to bring it down and actually go through and donate it so that it would not go into the landfill, and they wouldn't have, it wouldn't cost them anything. It would be a free service. So this was a new program this year, and CES actually has a £1 billion recycling goal that they've set up. I think it's over a 3-year period. They're trying to gather up £1 billion of recycling of e-waste materials to keep them out of the landfill and reclaim all the materials back to be repurposed and recycled. So that was pretty exciting this year to see all the effort, and even be sponsored by a company and everything. So that's the kind of excitement that the exhibitors are starting to get involved, really tying it all in.
Well, it is a measure of the environment we're living in today that everyone self-describes as an environmentalist now, and we're all interested in reducing our footprint, aren't we?
Yes, sir. Well, I think one of the other things that's really cool that just is happening in our industry, so the trade show and event industry, Freeman is the leader in the industry in our sector. We're the #1 in our sector of doing what we do as a general services contractor and experiential marketing company. But all of our competitors and all the other shows that are out there, we're all working very hard in this industry, because you can imagine there's an event and a convention going on in pretty much every city in the United States almost every day. And so there's always the waste. And so as we all work together in an industry fashion, trying to find a way to divert, not just this one-time use thing, but to actually be, not to be the disposable generation, but to actually be able to repurpose, rethink, and reuse what we have. So
it seems to me there's an argument that CES itself is an environmentally friendly event because it eliminates multiple trips. A company can go to CES and meet with multiple potential customers, partners, etc., all at that one event, and save multiple trips flying around the world to meet with those same partners.
Well, yes, very true. The trade show and event industry already taunts that a little bit about, instead of a CEO traveling to all the different places to make all the meetings around the world, I believe there's some information put out by the CES group that says that 3.5 million air miles were saved, or greenhouse gas emissions were saved, because of the CES show, because the average CEO has 33 meetings during the show. So you really think about that. Instead of them all flying all over the world to meet with each other, the trade show and event industry like CES brings people together, and it's more efficient, and it actually is more environmentally friendly. Even though there are some people that say, well, the waste that's generated and all, but we're working on 70% of that waste being diverted and recycled. So we're bringing that number down every year. So I think when you think about greenhouse gas emissions that's saved by having a trade show or an event, brings all that. That's a very positive point.
Fantastic. Well, I want to just pick your brain a little bit on a personal level, Jeff, as before you leave. First, Freeman is a great company, and you are clearly a player there. You're a role model to a lot of people, but who is your role model?
Well, in my lifetime, I've been in many different, I've been in this business now for 28 years, but before that I was a minister. And so went to Bible college, went into the ministry, did some good there. And then I've kind of, now I'm preaching green instead of preaching religion, you know, but still saving, giving back, helping to the earth. And one of the people that really has stood out for me in my past was I worked for eBay a lot. They were one of my clients, and there was their CIO, Maynard Webb. And Maynard Webb, today, he made a lot of money, and so he pretty much could be doing anything he wants to do. But Maynard actually is one of those people who took his money and actually has now formed a foundation to help give back to children's funds and programs. And he didn't lose his personal heart and feeling for life and for all of us and for the community. So I just saw him at a show here recently. He was in a big board meeting, walking with a bunch of board members, all these big CEOs from around the tech industry. And I just waved at him, and he stopped and came over and said, thank you again for all the stuff that we do. You know, he really knows. And so people like that have made it in the world and yet didn't lose their humanity of knowing that we're all connected together and we all have to share in this world together. So Maynard Webb is one of my big people that I admire in the world.
That's really an inspiring notion, because when we understand that we are all connected and share that humanity, it really does change the answers to a lot of questions. So I think that's a great insight. Now, Jeff, tell us a little bit about why you care about these things. Where does your desire to improve sustainability, where does that come from? You could be doing anything.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not trained in the environmental studies or anything. I've been in the business for many years, and just over my 28 years of doing the event business, I've seen a lot of waste and things that have just been totally two tractor trailer loads of printed materials that never even got used, things like that you just see the waste. And you just realize after you've done it so long that you say there has to be a way to do it better and more efficient. And because we only have limited amount of resources, money and time and resources, that we really need to pay attention. And what's been exciting for me in the last 8 years that I've kind of been involved with the environmental is that the Freeman family, when they came into their program, they actually took this to heart and said, you know, if we want to be around another 88 years, we're going to run out of resources. We're going to run out of materials if we don't start thinking about the environment. So the triple bottom line that people use a lot of times, where it's people, profit, and planet. The people part, the Freeman folks have done a fabulous job of taking care of their employees and all their people and their clients. And of course, we make money, you know, along the way. And then, but the planet is the third part of that stool, and they really have embraced it. And so for me, it's exciting to see that we can change the way that our industry, as the sector leader, if Freeman being the leader in the industry, if we change it, the tide will change and all of us will all do better as an industry. So for me, that's what charges me up, is knowing that we can make a difference in the way we do business every day.
Well, you're clearly making a huge difference. One last question for you. I ask all of our guests for what I call an impact hack, some tip that would help us do more good. What's yours?
Well, in the trade show business, a lot of people go off to a trade show or an event for 5 days, 3 days, 10 days if you're a setup guy. And there's two things that I would ask you to do. Is one of them is when you walk away from your office on a trip, anytime you're going on a business trip, turn off all the electricity in your office, turn off your monitor, turn off your printer, turn off everything, so that you're saving energy, and just for all of us, because there's only a limited amount of it, even though we all believe that we just plug into the wall and it's always there. But there's cost there, there's air pollution and all these things going on. So just do your part to power down in your office when you're going to be on a trip. And even at night when you leave the office, just put everything on a power strip and just turn off the power strip, and then in the morning turn it back on, and your 8 hours or 10 hours being away saves all that energy. So that's going to a show. And then once you're at a show, when you plan to go to an event, if you're an exhibitor or you're an attendee, pay attention to what's going on in that city that you're going to, because every city that I work in, and I work in New York to Las Vegas to Orlando. I go to Europe to do shows. I'm in everywhere from us. I was just in Salt Lake yesterday doing a show in Salt Lake. So I'm all over in different types of cities, different places. But every city I go to cares about recycling, trying to do the right thing. So do your part to help in everywhere you're going. Reduce what you're doing, think about what you're doing, rethink it, repurpose whatever you can, or recycle anything and everything that you do. So those are the kind of things that just think about where you're going and do a taxi share when you're leaving from the airport, going to a convention, do things like that all of us can easily do. We're all human. We all love each other. We all try to get along. And when you're standing in an airport line, just like there was taxi lines at the airport, you've got 100 people standing there going, probably someone's going to the same place you are. So just speak up and say, hey, I'm going to the Hilton or I'm going to the Marriott. Anybody want to ride with me? Ride share. And there's several programs and apps for that too, but also just raising your hand sometimes makes a difference. So
terrific. Those are great suggestions. And I really appreciate you sharing those ideas. I'm sorry you and I didn't connect when you were in Salt Lake yesterday. It would have been a lot of fun to meet you here yesterday.
Yeah, I heard that that's where you were, and I should have called you. It was beautiful there. The mountains are covered in snow. It was very beautiful. You live in a
you're kind. We're in a bit of our seasonal gunk in the air because of the weather patterns here. Obviously, they don't cause the pollution, but they don't clear it out this time of the year. And so yours is a perfect reminder in our market that we ought to be ride sharing a lot more. Here in Salt Lake, I like to use the train to go everywhere I can.
Well, one of the things that I just learned about Salt Lake, which was very exciting, is that they literally have parking meters around the convention center that are not parking meters, but they're for the homeless. And literally, if you have spare change in your pocket and you're waiting for the light to go walk to your hotel, you just put the spare change in the parking meter and all the money goes to the homeless. I thought that was such a great, cool thing just for us to give back without even impacting anybody.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for being on the show today. We appreciate your insights. We thank you for your time. Before you go, tell people how they can connect with you and Freeman.
Well, my freemanco.com is our website. It's freemanco.com. And my email is jeff.chase@freemanco.com. You can reach me on my email there. And I do have a Twitter account, which is called greenchase73. So you can also go there and check me out. And I'm on LinkedIn and every place, but you'll find me, Jeff Chase.
Fantastic. Jeff, thank you very much for being with us today. We wish you every success in your effort to clean up the world.
Thanks, Devin, for the platform to let people know what we're doing. Thank you.
All righty. Let's do some good.
Yes, sir.